Good afternoon. I'm very glad that some of you are interested in the big question, and I think it's one of the biggest questions, is how is the appearance of LLM models into everybody's phone affecting our next generation and affecting actually our education systems. And that's why my title is called Redefining Education, because I strongly believe that this technology, this technological leap from just a technology that we had before 2022 and that we have now on the phones, this technological leap has a very, very significant impact on the education systems, how we teach and what we teach. In 2022, when every kid had the possibility to download large language models, mostly at that time it was ChatGPT on their phones, I think most of the education systems and teachers in the classroom, ministers, policymakers were taken by the surprise, by the question, what now? I mean, if there is a click button away of the full knowledge that usually these children acquire years in school, they have to memorize, they have to relearn it, we control whether they know it, we recontrol whether they know it, they apply it, and now it's just 15 seconds and they have this knowledge. They might not know now how to use it and how to apply it, but the creation of knowledge and generation of knowledge creates very fast. And for many of the teachers, this was a very big question, like, what do I do now? I mean, how do I teach and what should I be teaching? And we had this question in the ministry going on for a year before we started actually making a move, thinking that we have to do something with the education, because allowing AI to be in the school, in the classroom, without any pedagogical guidance means that we see the risk of de-skilling and cognitive offloading of children happening, especially in the older age groups. So what we did in Estonia is something that I will tell to you today. We are at the very early stages of introducing AI into the classrooms, but there is a pedagogical philosophy behind it, what we are doing. And this pedagogical philosophy is something that I want to just discuss with you on this stage. It's not the presentation about technology, it's not the presentation about the specific things that we do in education, it's about the philosophy, like how do we introduce AI into learning process in education and what impact does it have. But the fact that AI will have a significant impact on the capacity of, especially cognitive capacity of children was nothing new, because I just try to remind ourselves probably that back in 2017, OECD already analyzed the skills levels of humans, at that time of a working age population, where they found out that 2/3 of workers in OECD countries had literacy, numeracy, and digital problem-solving skills that were below of what the computers at that time could do. So literacy, numeracy, and problem-solving skills is something that is a basic skill that we give them in education systems. If our education systems provide the basic skills below what the technology is capable of doing, then we obviously are not keeping our education system on the modern level, so it's not relevant for the time of these people entering labor market. And only 13% of the workers had a literacy and numeracy skills that were above at that time of the computer level. Now, with the entrance of the AI, that became even more severe problem, because the numeracy and literacy and problem-solving skills of this technology is much higher than was the technology back in 2017. The question, I mean, for humans in relation to that technology is, let's face it, it's a very big question of our evolutionary leap. Whether we are capable of outpacing computers in our capacity, cognitive capacity of thinking, capacity of analyzing, problem solving, communication, whether we are capable of going above what the computers are capable of doing, or we are not. And this evolutionary pressure comes exactly from the technology. Humans have been through evolutionary pressures before. This is not the first time in human history when humans have to go through the evolutionary pressure. But this time, it's not a physical pressure. It's not that we have to stand up on our 2 feet. It's the different type of the evolutionary pressure. And it's evolutionary pressure for our cognitive capacities. Our cognitive capacity of the brain in terms of, are we capable of evolving into the species that are capable of thinking faster and thinking much more systematically than before, and more creatively. So this is the challenge that we have. So where do we find this capacity of being thinkers, our development as a humans to be better thinkers, more systematic thinkers, more creative thinkers, more analytical thinkers? Our brain is a main apparatus, of course, which is our cognitive machine. So human brain has evolved over the millions and millions of years cognitively, very significantly. And this leap that we are taking now is a leap in two different types of cognitive capacities. So human brain is operating in two levels of cognitive levels. You might know it. It's something that in pedagogy teachers know. There are lower cognitive processes and higher cognitive processes. Lower cognitive processes are memory. Let's memorize quickly something. Let's repeat what we have memorized, and this repetitive stereotyping behavior without much thinking next time you use this knowledge. Once you learn it, you repeat it. For example, learning to ride a bicycle is a knowledge that our brain acquires, and we keep repeating it without relearning it every time we use a bicycle, right? So it's something that is repetitive thing. Or learning to swim, or learning to skate. These are the things that we learn, and this is not that we need to relearn it again. So this is a lower level cognitive process that happens in our brain, and sometimes we do it without thinking. Stereotypes regarding certain people, cultures, we learn it one time and we apply it every single time next time we are in this situation. This is a lower cognitive process in our brain. We don't rethink, we don't relearn, we don't change of the perceptions that we have. Higher cognitive processes are something that we have to constantly keep actively relearning all the time. Our brain does not apply already previously applied knowledge the same way. It generates a new knowledge in the situation from the previous knowledge and learning in the new environment. And it's much more complicated process. Human brain is most of the time operating in a lower cognitive processes. Why? Because it takes much less energy. Our brain is our biggest energy consumer, so it works always on the energy-saving mode. It's easier to actually use your lower cognitive processes rather than higher cognitive processes. If you use higher cognitive processes, it's very tiring. Sometimes you probably notice yourself, you did a lecture in a completely new topic in front of a completely new audience, your brain had to go into this higher cognitive processes. By the evening, you are dead tired. You want to sleep. You quite often want to sleep after exams because this is really a challenging higher cognitive processes. You're sometimes more tired than you would have run marathon because your brain is using a lot of energy. So we as humans, we save our energy and we constantly work on stereotypes, on pre-learned cases, and we don't use our higher cognitive processes too much. Now, the challenge is, with the technology that in the world where we live, with the new technology, it pushes us constantly to be much more time of our awake time on a higher cognitive processes. Much more often we have to use much more energy in rethinking, systematically thinking, reanalyzing, creating new knowledge in a new situation, readapting to the new situation. And that's what our brain has to learn to do much more often than it does nowadays. Now, this is the famous Bloom taxonomy that every teacher in pedagogical faculty at the university learns. This is a cognitive domains of human development. And you see this lower level cognitive thinking levels, processes are here. This is remembering, just memorizing certain things, knowing when the Second World War started, how to ride a bike, then understanding and applying. You learn something, you understand it, you apply, teacher will check whether you have applied it correctly, whether you have understood it correctly, whether you have remembered it correctly. And this is something that schools and education system have been training in humans for 200 years since a compulsory education became a norm in the world. Now, these higher order thinking skills, analyzing, evaluating, creating, these are the ones that our education systems are not yet very skilled in focusing on. So we don't develop in our children those higher order cognitive processes too much. But this is what the AI is forcing us to do. So if we want humans not to be the ones that remain only in this process, because computers and AI is very quickly capable of doing this. Within seconds, they will do it. They will remember, they analyze, They will tell you how to apply it, and they are capable of doing it. But they are not so good at creative part, which is much more complicated processes, or evaluating, judging, deciding ethical questions. These are not something that the AI is still not very good, but humans have to evolve into the place where they will be using these skills much more often than they use today. And that's from what we Estonians in Estonian education system arrived to the understanding that we have to bring AI into the classroom to work with kids so that these cognitive processes will be much more in focus during the learning process in school. So we force them to do more analytical thinking, more creative thinking, challenging their brain constantly into the much higher cognitive processes levels. So this is a philosophy behind what we think that AI, how it impacts humans and how it impacts our cognitive development as humans. So education systems have to redo the learning process and teaching process in school, because these things here, analyzing, evaluating, creating, have to be developed already, not at the university level for PhD students, because that's what you learn when you're doing a PhD. It has to be already taught at the grade 7 minimum, at the grade 7 when kids are 13 years old, 14, 15. That's the age when you have to start doing it. And what we do in Estonia is that we do training of higher cognitive processes. We do AI Leap program. We bring the AI into the classroom of 10 and 11 graders. All students in our 10th grade and 11th grade, and all the teachers have AI. It's mostly ChatGPT and Gemini licenses, and then they will be using it in the classroom. We started extensive training of the teachers in August 2025. We have a scientific board of developmental psychologists and neurologists, brain neurologists, who are designing the learning course for the teachers, how they introduce this AI into the learning process. And it's not only about specific subjects, it's all subjects in school. It includes sports, it includes art, it includes music. It's a lot of, all subject teachers are trained, and all the subject teachers in Estonia today have the licenses of Gemini and Google. We work with the Gemini and Google and with OpenAI and ChatGPT in testing and designing and developing actually the LLM models, their LLM models suitable for teaching and learning of these higher cognitive processes. We have a very good cooperation with OpenAI and with Google on that. Our program is partnership with the private sector. It's not run by the ministry, it's run by the foundation. And I think it's a very good example of private sector intensively bringing an innovation into the education system. There is a scientific monitoring of the process. We have scientists team observing what is happening in the schools, what kind of learning is happening. By the end of this academic year, that is a spring 2026, we expect first results of first feedback of what actually is happening with these children that are learning with an AI. But this is our program. And this is a quote from our president, who is the patron of this program. He says that it's not about using AI the most of the hours in the classroom, but about learning to use it the wisest way, the way that it would develop our kids into this higher level cognitive processes in much more. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was the most informative, and I apologize to all other speakers, the most informative presentation we've heard today. Does anyone have any questions? There's one question over there. Please wait for the mic. Yes.
Thank you so much, Minister, for a very interesting, and I truly say this, presentation. I'm Carlos Esteso, Deputy Head of Mission of the Spanish Embassy. I would like to, I completely agree with your presentation. What would you think about the latest reports that they're raising concern about the students too many focus on their mobile phones, and some countries that they are taking action in restraining the use of AI and mobile phones at the school? Because it's true, we have to raise to this higher level of education, but if the pillars are not well funded, and then those latest reports are raising concern on the lack of attention, the lack of analyzing, like carefully and with time, like reports or just they are finding more difficulties like us to focus, to really write and to think carefully about before writing or texting. So what do you think about the use of mobile phones?
Only to answer that.
Yes, I could have a separate lecture on mobile phones in education system because that's another topic. To me, and in Estonia, we approach the mobile phones or any digital devices in education with this approach. It's the same like with a knife. When humans invented knife, that gave humans a huge developmental leap because you could cut things and build things that you were not capable of doing before, but you could also kill another human being with that knife. So with a mobile phone, it's the same. You can actually destroy human brain and humans with this technology, but you can also use it for the advantage of the human brain development. And that's what I've presented now. This is what we think that we should do in order to use this technology for the advantage of the human brain development rather than destroying this brain. And we are very much afraid that if we don't do this, if we just ban it, the result is that this human brain will be killed because the kids will be using it anyway. There is no way that we can completely ban it. They will be using it anyway, but they will be using it not for the cognitive advancement into the higher level, but for cognitive offloading. So the AI will be learning a lot, but the kids will not be learning anything. So, and that's why it has to be pedagogically guided process. There are teachers who are in charge of the way the AI is used in the lessons, not the kids using AI secretly under the table by doing the lessons that teachers give without any concern about the AI. So there are lots of learning practices that teachers need to cancel because it doesn't make sense to do them anymore. Because their AI will do it and kids will do it with an AI and there will be no learning happening for the children. So you have to redo all the assignments that you used to give to kids and rethink how you put AI into this process rather than expecting children to cheat and then controlling them for cheating.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Minister. So what we're doing in Estonia is we're changing the 200-year-old educational system with the AI leap. It's a very simplistic summary of this panel. Thank you so much.
Okay.